Some book trailers feature a lot of stock footage, maybe some moody voiceovers or dramatic fonts. And then there's this one.
Bro, you might be wondering, what is a hedge fund?
Hedge funds take money from accredited investors.
Like your mom's.
All right, that is how you do a book trailer. This is author Gary Shteyngart's broing out with Ben Stiller over hedge funds, and the reason? His new novel. Lake Success is blending finance, fiction, and a whole lot of funny, and Gary is here in studio this morning. Good morning, Gary. Thanks for coming to Toronto.
Great to be in Toronto.
Okay, so how does that happen?
Ben and I worked on a project together, and I needed a funny guy with whom I could pretend to run a hedge fund, and he was the first one on my list.
But I guess in this day and age, with so many ways of competing with eyeballs, with books and streaming, you got to do anything you can to get people to your product.
Yeah, and my past videos have featured Paul Giamatti, Rashida Jones. There's one video in which I'm married to James Franco, and we make out for a while. Very soft lips. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something that typically isn't very exciting, is the research process in a book.
Sure.
Yours sounded like a lot of fun. You hung out till 4 a.m. with these Wall Street types, and then in 2016, you did your own bus tour. Yeah. Did you enjoy the research part of this book?
Well, you know, I spent 4 months on a Greyhound bus, so
maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean, that's a fairly traumatic form of transportation. But, you know, I learned a lot of interesting things. I learned you don't sit near the bathroom on the Greyhound. You try to sit up front for your own health. I met some really interesting people. You know, I went from New York to San Diego. I met a lot of people who were really striving and doing well, but I also, in the summer of 2016, during the great election, I also met my first white supremacists who got up on the bus, started talking about crucifying Muslims and Jews, and I'm Jewish, so I bought a New Testament coloring book to make sure they don't kill me or crucify me.
Let's go back to the book itself. Barry Cohen is your protagonist.
Yeah.
So who is he, and what's the adventure he goes on?
He is a hedge fund guy whose fund is completely falling apart. The SEC, Security Exchange Commission, the government is basically about to sue him for fraud. And he also has an autistic son, and he can't quite handle that. So being the jerk that he is, he decides to get on a Greyhound bus and find his old college girlfriend in El Paso, Texas. So it's kind of, he at one point describes it as on the road for middle-aged people.
Is it true that initially your protagonist was going to be a female hedge fund manager?
That's true. I wanted to write about a female hedge fund manager. There's not that many.
Yeah.
And the ones I met were actually very good at their job. They actually kept generating good results, whereas all the male hedge fund managers I met kept blowing up. Their funds were, you know, sinking as opposed to the S&P. So I thought, I need somebody who's completely falling apart, and the women were much more together.
You are one of these authors that when I read what you write, I laugh out loud. How do you know you're going to get that reaction?
Well, I have like a formula that's ha-ha sad, ha-ha sad.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like a missile where the humor is the rocket and the payload is the tragedy and the sadness. And there's a lot of sadness in this book as well. I mean, it's about a family that's falling apart. In some ways, it's about a country that's falling apart, the United States.
Did you know that when you embarked on this career that you would be known for signing babies?
It's gotten really crazy. When I go do these signings, people bring me their asthma inhalers to sign. People bring me anxiety medication to sign. And now I'm signing babies, which I think is against the law in some provinces probably. But
all right, we're going to do a quick true or false game here for people to get to know you a little bit more. True or false, you were once a janitor in a nuclear power plant?
I did. I was, and that's how I lost most of my hair, yeah.
True or false, you're a fan of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale?
Oh, my God. I read it every year. I love Margaret. Mwah.
Wow. True or false, you always write fully clothed?
False.
Oh, boy.
And let's not get into that.
And true or false, you were 5 years old when you wrote your first novel?
I was. I was growing up in Leningrad in the USSR, and my grandmother was commissioned a novel, and she paid me a piece of cheese for every page I wrote.
Wow.
And even today, Random House pays me in cheese. So.
Gary, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.